get into functions. So, functions, very simply put, is a built-in formula that takes inputs that you give it and returns an answer. So, if a song is made of notes, story is made of words, house is made of bricks, painting made of colors, salad made of vegetables, function in Excel is made of what? Arguments. We call the components of a function arguments. You put in arguments to get an answer. One of the functions I've already covered is equal sum. And the arguments it's looking for are numbers. There's an argument. There's an argument. There's an argument. However, they're not numbers. They have to be numbers for the function to work. So if we want additional information about a function, we can go to the function button right here. And it says right there, function arguments. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Adds all the numbers in a range of cells. And it tells you right here that logical values in text are ignored in cells. And it even has a little help link if you need help on a function. We'll get more into specific functions later. I just wanted to drive home that when I say arguments, I'm not meaning arguing with a coworker or anything. I mean it's part of the function. Arguments could be many things. It could be a true or false. It could be a number. It could be a number you type, or it could be a number that you select in a cell. Some functions don't even require any arguments. They're just empty parentheses. One example is this one right here under date and time called today. It just returns the current date formatted as a date. Now it doesn't have anything in the parentheses or mention of any arguments. So let's hit OK. And it says this function takes no arguments. And it gave us what today's date is, the date of recording this video. As you can see here, this is a formula. If you go up to the formula bar, every day that I refresh the spreadsheet, it's going to change. So in here, I'll type 2/7/2025 and go up to the formula bar. I see the hard-coded piece right there. Here I see the function today. And formulas are often made of functions. So if I have today, I can just do +1. And Excel, being smart as it is, it's able to tack on one day to today's date. In fact, if I wanted to put 365, it gives me 1 year from now. So more about this later, just an introduction to what a function is. Again, we're taking input and getting an answer. So by now you know me, I like to do hands-on practice. So go ahead and download the function practice sheet that I put out there. And let's go through one by one, follow along with me in these beginner functions. First one being sum, which we're probably used to. I think it's good to get used to typing the formula. Of course, you can go up here and type it, or just in an empty cell. But once I hit sum and I have a list of suggestions down here, it gives me a lot of different ones that start with sum. I'm just going to go ahead and hit tab when I find the one that's mine. And from there I can use the mouse, click, drag, and get the sum of all the numbers above it. If I want to double check my formula, I can double click on it. See that it includes all the desired numbers. Next, let's get the average of the same cells, different numbers. So again, I'm going to type equals average. And once I get to the one I want, I can use the arrows up and down, or I can double click on this and it gives me the open parentheses. So really, if you want to use predictive text, just type part of what you want and then double click. After that, it prompts you to do the arguments. We're just going to do this series. We have our average. Count. How many numbers are here? Equal sign, COUN, tab. Select all those that I want and hit enter. And click on the formula bar directly and put count. open parentheses. A lot of different options. When you're starting out, do what's comfortable, but I believe typing equal sign and the name of the function you want to do in the cell directly is the best way. Here we have equals len. What's that? It's just the length function. So equals len. Double click on it and click on this text here, or the, and you can close your parentheses if you want to, or just hit enter. And it tells me that the is 3 letters long. So you can go here and go in the corner to where it's a solid black cross. Click, drag, and you drag the formula down. Remember, with referential referencing, the function or formula is going to be relative to whatever cell you're in if you drag it. But if you cut it, paste it down here, stays with the absolute reference, which is up there. Another option is to right-click, copy, paste over the rest of this, and you get your relative reference. Uppercase. So these are in proper format. We want to make them all uppercase. So the function for that is equals upper. And then it asks for the text, which we're just going to click on this box with text in it, hit enter, and drag the formula down. Got all caps. We're screaming the sentence now. Next, lowercase. Same thing, except we type lower. Click on the first in our list, drag it down. For those who like to copy, Control C, Control V. If you want to start learning those shortcuts, or copy, highlight, paste. Proper case, these are all lowercase. We want them to be proper case, so proper. Hit tab. And then I used the arrow, but sorry. The time-saving habits I've developed. So another option is if you don't want to drag, you go in the corner here with the black cross and double click. It's another mouse shortcut. Again, that just copies it down. It knows where to stop because, again, Excel's pretty smart. Concat. What does concatenate mean? All it means is to string together. We want to make a sentence out of these words. So I can use concat. Notice there's concatenate and then there's concat. I want to use concat. It's the newer version of concatenate. So when I get there, I'm able to click on the. If I hit a comma, I can continue to concatenate. And it gives me that with no spaces. Of course, we don't have to type commas when we use concat. It's the new fancy formula. I can click on all these as arrange and enter. It gives me the same result. However, we want spaces here. So what can we do in this situation? We can go into each formula bar and type a space. We don't want to do that. How about we insert a blank column here? And then here, I'll type a space. I'll copy the space all the way down. How do I know there's a space there? That's right, formula bar. Use the arrow, you can highlight that singular space. Now we can use concat, and we're actually going to highlight both of these columns. And it just knows to read left to right, up to down. Again, it's smart. That's a two-step process in that function example, but know that sometimes you have to be a little creative. Actually, the creativity comes out with Excel. Who would have thought that, right? Trim. What does trim do? Let's try to make a sentence first and see what it looks like. I see extra spaces in here. Why is that? Because when I go in here, and again, I can double click on that to see that there are extra spaces. Or I can go up to the formula bar and also see that there are extra spaces. So trim just trims down the spaces to 0. Double click, And these are formulas, but they're going to be without the space. So what we can do now is we're going to double click on this that we've made the concatenate on, and I'm going to move this reference. If I'm in the reference and I go to the edge, and I see the pointing cross pointing in all directions, I can click and drag that reference over. See, from A2 to A10 range to B2 to B10 range. Hit enter. And we get the same result. So make another column known as space. Put a space. Sure, some folks would disagree with how I'm doing this, but whatever. Again, sometimes there's no one right way to do anything. So now I want to expand the range to this as well. How do I do that? I go down to this corner until I get a diagonal line with arrows pointing. Click, drag, and I've made the box wider. Enter, and we get our sentence. Even though each word is capitalized, we're just demonstrating the function here. Left, I want the first three letters, the left three letters, in all these states. To do that, I can type equal left. The first argument is going to be the state. What text do I want to operate on? And you type a comma. Arguments always separated by commas. And now I'm going to make a manual entry. I want the left 3, so I'm going to type the number 3. Then hit enter. And look what it's done. I have the first 3 letters of each of the states. If you wanted to change this to right, right also works. I get the last 3 letters. Just something to know that's out there. If is just a logical formula, and for this I'll go to the function button just to better help folks understand. So I'm going to type in if, click on go, and then select if. So it's a logical test. Our logical test is if this number is greater than 5, I want it to display the word big. If it's less than 5, display the word small. So the logical test is this cell reference. Is it greater than 5? You see here it says false because 1 is not greater than 5. So if it's true, I want it to say big. And look, it puts it in quotes automatically. Small, I want it to say small. Hit enter. Small, small, big. So on and so forth. Another neat thing you can do with if formulas is actually make a reference out here. Big. Let's just put it out here. Big, small. And let's do some cell styles like we learned. Big will be blue. Small be orange. Let's type a 5 here for the threshold we want. We'll make that a different cell style. How about input? And we can put this at the top. Let's call this threshold. Above threshold. Below threshold. And this is where the power of Excel and formulas really comes into play. And you'll see what I mean. Go to the formula button, if. And this is when you don't really have all the syntax, the order of the arguments memorized. You can just go here. Formula bar, if. So if the cell to the left of the formula is greater than the threshold, if it's true, I want it to be this result. If it's false, I want it to be this result. And as you can see here, let's type a -1. All of a sudden the logic had changed. Instead of big, let's type grand. So that's where the power of formulas come in and cell references. But if you remember a previous lesson, if I drag this down I get no result. Why is that? It has to do with referencing and dollar signs. That's right. So let's go back and do the absolute referencing. Here we're going to select a function. If was one we used today, so it looks like it's in there. I'll just click on it. So if number to the left is greater than the threshold, we don't want this threshold to move. We want the reference to slide down, but we don't want this to slide down. So we type F4. It puts dollar signs by the G and by the 2. That way, this will slide down, this reference will slide down, but this will stay put, like I said. Same with this, value if true. I want it to be this result, and I want that to be locked in. Value if false, small, locked in. Hit OK, and now I can drag it down. As you can see, logical reference we want if number to the left, whatever that is, relatively, if that's greater than the threshold, return big. If not, return small. The list of functions is constantly changing. Of course, we can't cover every function, but it's a good thing to explore. If you simply go to a blank cell and hit the function button, and then you can look through these categories. From there, help on this function pulls up a internet browser from Excel, which has examples on it. So again, just a couple functions to get started as a beginner. Thanks for hanging in on this one.